for you as well. In the meantime, as reaction and response to coronavirus dominates our news, yesterday the Premier announced that all cruise ships visits to Tasmania were banned until the 30th of June. Anthony Donald is the CEO of TasPorts, the authority that oversees ports around the state, and joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
What's behind this move?
Well, look, clearly the focus is the health and safety of Tasmanians. This is certainly an unprecedented situation that the world is facing, and certainly I think we're making the right decisions to protect Tasmanians.
Over the weekend, on Saturday, we saw 2 cruise ships in Hobart. One was stuck on the water, nobody got on or off, theoretically. Another one, their passengers disembarked and then they got back on. What was happening then?
Yeah, that was decisions of each of the cruise lines. That wasn't any advice or any instruction associated from TasPorts or the government. They were simply decisions being made by each cruise line, and that was in advance of any interaction or instruction associated with the cessation of the cruise for Tasmania.
So did you make the decision, or was this a decision made by government, or was this also in line with what's coming from the federal government?
Oh, look, no, this has been a decision that's been made by the Tasmanian government. TasPorts continues and has been in extensive consultation and collaboration with government as appropriate, and we continue to do so.
How many cruise ships? I was going to say, how many cruise ships are we talking about?
We're talking about 12 cruise ships, which were scheduled to arrive over the next few weeks. There was 5 visits for Hobart, 5 visits for Burnie, and 2 for Port Arthur. Now, some of those visits were the same vessel at the different locations. You know, we're very mindful of our relationship with our customers and the cruise lines, and we've been working really hard over the weekend to have as many conversations as we can with them. You know, given that this is very challenging times for them, but equally for everyone. We're also very mindful of the economic impacts that this has on our tourism industry and sector. These are clearly unprecedented times, and I think it's really important that we all remain focused and as collaborative as possible. TasPorts is absolutely committed to continuing to move freight in and out of our great state. You know, one of the things being an island state that we rely on is shipping and our port infrastructure and operations, and we are putting the appropriate plans in place to make sure that you know, we can continue to facilitate the movements of freight goods, fuel as an example, and the commodities that we need to sustain our communities.
Well, just on that, what are you hearing about freight, just the logistics of freight? And as you say, it's times we haven't seen before. Is there any threat to freight actually coming into Tasmania and getting out of Tasmania, even if it comes down to things like the provision of containers or staff or ships, or, as we've just heard, Victoria's now declared a state of emergency for 4 weeks. Do you know whether that's going to impact on anything such as ports or the spirit of Tasmania?
Oh, look, I think the reality of the situation, the one known is that there is unknowns. The one known that we have is that we're in a period of significant change. We have a logistics supply chain which is made up of government services with TasPorts, but many private sector businesses that support the logistics supply chain. You know, we continue as a business to have multiple conversations every day, every hour actually, of every day, to make sure that we're having those conversations with suppliers to make sure that they've got contingency plans in place. But I think the reality moving forward is that we don't all know how this will continue to transpire. What we do know is that we've got fantastic capability and capacity within the state. We have very effective relationships, and Tasmania is a community of people that are very resourceful and collegiate, and I remain extremely confident that we'll be able to sustain this terrible period for as long as required, and we'll move forward into a bright future.
The Premier said yesterday that at this stage the Spirit of Tasmania TT line would operate as normal because it's regarded as public transport. Will TasPort put in any extra quarantine measures for people getting on and off the Spirit?
Oh, look, continue to take advice from government with that regard. We maintain a very close relationship with TT Line on a daily basis, and we remain confident that the appropriate protocols will be in place.
What about private yachts coming and private vessels coming into the state? What sort of plans have you got to deal with those?
Some of those are, when they are over 35 metres in length, they are required to fill out a vessel notification process. So there are well-established protocols in place for dealing with that.
And what are those protocols? Like, you're not going to change those at this stage?
Oh, no, so those protocols are well established, and over the last 6 to 8 weeks there have been a continued ramp up of the requirements associated with the monitoring of the health of crews. I've got to say that the industry has responded exceptionally well. We continue to see demonstration of health records of every crew member being submitted through our office in order for us to, with the support of other government departments, both state and federal, to substantiate the health and safety of the crews and our staff that have an interface with those crews can be maintained.
I want to come to your staff in a minute, Anthony Donald. We're talking with Anthony Donald, CEO of TasPorts. You did mention the economic impact. Have you worked out yet how much this is likely to cost TasPorts, just in fees and so on?
Oh, look, that's a dynamic environment. We remain absolutely focused on health and safety. I think there will be an economic impact to the state. There will clearly be an economic impact to TasPorts. That's something that we're very mindful of. But we won't. We know first and foremost that our role is to protect and ensure the safety, the health and safety of Tasmanians, the health and safety of our staff and our contractors and suppliers, and really about the ongoing sustainability of freight movements.
And just finally,
that's our absolute focus.
Yes, and just finally, we are seeing businesses and institutions asking non-essential staff to work from home. I know there are aspects of the university doing that, and even the ABC. Are any of your staff being asked to work from home?
Yes, that's correct. There are a number of teams that are being managed accordingly. We continue to put additional plans in place to ensure that we have as resilient as possible a workforce.
Good to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anthony Donald, he's the CEO of TasPorts. As you heard there, it is a dynamic situation, but TasPorts working with a number of organisations just to try and keep Tasmania safe. Interesting points there he makes about ensuring freight gets in and out of the state. It's coming up to 16 minutes to 9. We're asking you